Welcome back to The Haunting Truth, everybody. I am Jen, and also I have my hostess with the mostest, as usual, Woo.
Woo woo.
And today we are going to be talking about a very interesting episode here. So long before televangelists predicted Armageddon, before modern survivalist bunkers, before Y2K panic, there was John Kelpius and Johannes Kelpius. Now,
Johannes Kelpius. Okay, I just
Johannes,
gotta pause real quick. I'm sorry. You said before the Y2K panic. Now, I think we have some listeners that probably were born after that and don't know
yes.
what that means. Um, so I'm gonna let you get back to it, but you might want to explain what that means because we have some that probably
So
don't know.
Y2K panic is basically when it was changing from 1999 to 2000. They thought that the computers were not going to change over. So a bunch of people thought it was going to be like the end of the world. All the computers were going to shut down, the stock market, all the banks and everything else. So they were like literally like hoarding food and creating bunkers and doing all of the survivalist things. So
We
yeah,
should do a whole episode on the Y2K panic.
I mean that was an
Now
amazing
that I'm thinking about it,
amazing
I'm going to
time.
write it down. I'm going to write it down. But the reason, to expand on that, it was due to the computers. But back before then, all of the numerical digits read as six. You had two for the month, two for the
Yeah.
day, and then two for the year. And it thought it was going to reset it when it hit 2000 and put us back as like it reading like the year 1900 and was going to shut it all down.
Just
So yeah,
yeah.
just wanted to
Just
add
kind of
that in there because I was
crash
working on that.
everything. So before all of those like Armageddon panic and everything else, there was Johannes Kelpius and the Women of the Wilderness, which was
The
the
women of the
first
wilderness.
American doomsday cult.
I have never heard of this, so I am very interested to hear about the women of the wilderness. And
Yeah.
this guy's name, Johannes Kelpis, he's going on the list of good
And
names.
just a spoiler alert, the women of the wilderness, there is no women um, in this. Just an FYI. And then,
Now I'm really interested.
yes. So, in this episode, listener discretion is advised. This episode contains religious extremism, apocalyptic prophecy, occultism, isolation, spiritual movements, and folklore surrounding the early Americas and mystical communities. Themes may feel unsettling and existential. Listener discretion is advised. Again, these episodes are for educational purposes only and entertainment.
We're heading into existential crazy, people.
We are. We are,
Okay.
definitely. So, just outside of Philadelphia, where all of these things seem to happen, apparently,
Billy's big
tucked
one.
into, I know, it's a big one. So, tucked inside Shadow Trail in the Wissahickon Valley sits a small stone cave that's very unassuming. A lot of hikers might just pass by it, not realizing what it truly represents. So, it's simple and it looks like an old spring house, but this was the headquarters for America's first doomsday cult. So, we're going to go back in time and we're going to go to 1694, where Johannes Kelpius thought that there was going to be an apocalypse and it was imminent. So he decided he was going to hightail it across the Atlantic to Philadelphia. He brought with him 40 followers, 40 celibate monks who were believers preparing for the end of the world in the forest surrounding Philadelphia. They waited for God, and this is the story of Kelpius Cave.
40 celibate monks and one Johannes
Yeah, and
are
one
coming over
Johannes.
into the wilderness of the forest of
Yes.
Philly.
Yep.
Cool. In 1692, when did the Mayflower land here? Wasn't that 1692? Is this just right
Um,
after? Was it
I don't
1492?
know. In
1692?
1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I know
Right?
that
Yeah,
one.
but Plymouth, I don't think got here until the 1600s, right?
It was like 1621, I think. So it was early
All right.
1600 or 15. I think it was like 1594 or something like that. I'd have to look it
Okay.
up. I'm not
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it
I'm
up
not
while you tell
gospel
us the
here.
story. But yeah.
But yeah, you look it up where I start out with Johannes Kelpius. Now, to first understand why Johannes believed this, you have to think of one of the best places for a first time doomsday cultist for the new world to come from, and that would be Transylvania. So, in the late 1600s in Transylvania, what is now present Romania, was drenched in fear, mystique, and uncertainty. It was not one of those, romantic Gothic landscapes like Hollywood. It was harsh, it was cold, it was dangerous. The villages were isolated. It was in dense forest. There were peasant families who were struggling to survive brutal winters. And most of the homes were just simple wooden structures with dirt floors and thatched roofs. And religion dominated every aspect of their life. So there was a Romanian Orthodox Church. It shaped like morality and law and daily survival. And they were still ingrained in like a feudal system. So the only people that could get education at the time were either somebody who was really wealthy or somebody who was a monk.
Hmm.
Yeah, or you had to get sponsored. So, and of course, everything as it was back in the day, Christianity was really mixed with ancient folk beliefs. So people feared curses, evil spirits, witches, omens in the sky. There were traveling healers, which one day they were really respected, and the next day they were trying to burn them at the stake. So, I mean, it was kind of like a mixed bag in this region. It was absolute chaos. And the description of this time was it felt like it was the end of days.
Uh, well, sure. Yeah. The witches and curses and mm,
Yeah.
Romanians.
Now, yeah, pretty much. Well, Johannes he was born, and I'm going to completely slaughter
Okay.
this. I apologize. Sigosora, which is the same region associated with Vlad the Impaler.
Cool. Was he related to Vlad the Impaler?
He was not related to him, but he does definitely come from the same region as Vladimir Dracul, Vlad the Impaler, or Dracula.
So he was Dracula adjacent.
Yes, he's
I feel
Dracula adjacent.
I feel like
Now,
I would want to do the genetic testing. I'm sorry.
yeah. Now,
Just-
some people say his name was Johannes Kelp, and now it was, or the Johannes Kelpis. So he has two different names when he was born. So we're just going to go with maybe it was Johannes Kelpis. Now he was considered brilliant at a very young age, and his dad ended up dying when he was young in 1684. Now wealthy patrons ended up sponsoring his education in Bavaria's University at Adeldorf. So he actually was given the opportunity to earn his master's degree in liberal arts and philosophy. Now, at Adeldorf, he was deeply connected to Pietism, which is a radical spiritual movement reacting against the rigid structure of the Lutheran movement, which was really popular at that time. So, Pietism encouraged direct personal experience with God, mystical contemplation, and secret spiritual acknowledgement. So, amongst its most charismatic leaders was Johann Jacob Zimmermann. He was a mathematician, an astronomer, and a theologian, and he was a dangerous heretic. That's how he was categorized. And he was the mentor of Johannes Kelpis.
I like him.
I know he
And
sounds.
I have not actually ever heard of pietism, but
Mhm.
I feel like I have been a member of this church since I've been born. So I'm gonna have to look
So
into this. I don't
I
know what
mean,
this is.
Zimmerman was such a radicalist that he was a Lutheran minister, and after declaring the Lutheran Church the Antichrist, he was exiled and disgraced.
I feel like
So,
I need, yeah. I I might have lived back here this time. Although there was no women in the wilderness, as you said, so it probably wasn't me.
there
But
was no women,
I do want
so
to
yeah,
study this. I'm going to actually write this down so I can do
yeah.
some more research on it.
So Zimmerman, he started gathering in small circles, and he called it the Chapter of Perfection. It was young intellectuals, mystics, dreamers, men like Kelpius, and together they came obsessed with apocalyptic prophecy. And they would use numbers and mathematical codes to say that they were predicting the return of Christ and the beginning of a new spiritual age. So they would use the Bible and say it contained mathematical codes.
I'm hearing smacks. of the Mayan calendar
Yeah.
with the repeating numbers. That's what I'm hearing.
And they
Okay.
said the apocalypse was going to be to arrive around between 1694 and 1700. There's different accounts. And strangely enough, a bunch of people believed him. So they believed Zimmerman, and they were like, okay, that tracks. So let's go ahead and get started. How are we going to like figure this out? Where are we going to go? So probably around 1692, the group received an extraordinary offer. They had anonymous supporters provide them free passage to Pennsylvania, the land in the New World, which was known to take in refugees from religious prosecution, such as Quakers, separatists, visionaries. So they were like, all right, bet, I'm on board. Let's do this.
That's crazy. So I think a lot of people in general, want to believe in something. I feel
Yeah.
like they want to. We're already predisposed. We want to believe in something bigger and better and more powerful than ourselves, which I think makes us easy prey for cults
Uh-huh.
unless you have a natural skeptic mind, which I think our friend group has.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to stop there for a second because we're going to need to take a break for a commercial. But before we go to that, I did look it up and we landed in 1620. So it wasn't
I
too,
was
you
I
were
was
right. You were
close.
absolutely right. Yes,
I
you
was
said
like,
1620. And it was very close to when these guys came over. So history lesson and dates for us. We can call each other on, was that the phone a friend
the phone a friend.
or
Yeah,
trivia
I
question
totally
if you
had to
need the
phone a
dates?
friend. I was like, I think it's 1620.
I would have went with it. I would have went with it. All right, so let's take a break and then we will come back in just a few seconds for
All
the
right, we'll
rest.
see you then.
All right, bye.
Welcome back, everybody, to Haunting Truth. So we were just starting to talk about the offer that Johannes Kelpius and the women of the wilderness received an offer to go over to Pennsylvania to a colony for free passage. And they were super excited because it is known for as a refuge for outsiders. As I said, Quakers, separatists, visionaries, mystics, you know, you were religiously prosecuted, we will take you. So they got all excited, and they were preparing to leave. And then tragedy struck. So in August of 1693, just before the voyage, Johann Zimmermann died unexpectedly,
Oh no.
which, yeah, yeah, this is their leader. This is their guy, you know? He was the
Yeah,
leader of the movement. So being his, second in command, a 20-something-year-old Johannes Kelpis had to take leadership of these 40 people. So
and
he
this
was
entire
only in his
flock.
20s.
This
And
entire flock. He didn't
yes,
even
his
know who he
entire,
was yet. Wow. Okay.
no, his frontal lobe wasn't even fully developed. Um,
This is true. I had a call
yeah,
conversation about this the other day on lobotomies. Don't ask
yeah,
me how
I
I got
mean,
there, but yeah.
but he was determined to complete his mentor's mission. So in 1694, Kelpius and roughly 40 followers boarded a ship called Sarah Maria Hopewell, and they crossed the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, that's a good name
So
for a ship. I mean,
I know, right? So there were scholars, musicians, theologians, physicians, and mystics. Now their journey ended in Bohemia Landing in Maryland
no
before
way.
they,
Bohemia? I know
yeah,
right where that
yeah,
is. Okay.
I know. Yeah. So they traveled north towards Philadelphia around the Germantown area, and that is where they found their wilderness. Now, Philadelphia was barely anything. There was barely 500 homes at that particular time. It had dense forests surrounding the settlement, and the wilderness still felt like really ancient and untouched. Now, eventually, Kelpius led them to the ridge overlooking the Wissahickon Creek, which is one of the oldest geological formations in North America. And he was like, I found my holy ground.
I did not know that. That's good.
hmm
That's information.
Yeah, so he decided, so they found the Wissahickon Gorge, for those of you who are not aware, and he was like, this is our holy land. And so that's where they
All
settled.
right. Well, they didn't have to, like travel around for 40 years trying to find it. So
No, I
he's
mean,
got,
they were on a timetable. There was Doomsday coming.
that
Like
is
they
true.
had stuff to
We
do.
we don't have time to waste. Find it
We don't
now.
have time to waste. We need the holy ground, okay?
We got to set up our bunkers right now.
has
That's
to be
great.
here. So Kelpius established a spiritual community unlike anything the colony had ever seen. In the center was a 40-foot square tabernacle. It was an altar. And the number 40 obviously was spiritually significant for Kelpius. There were 40 floods. There was 40 years in the wilderness. There
Oh,
was
I didn't
40
even
days
read
of
that.
fasting.
What's going
Like,
That's funny.
yeah, so everything was 40. And that's why they had like the 40 converts. Like, so it all kind of goes back to the Bible. Now, the group, as I said, was known as the Women of the Wilderness, and it was inspired by Revelations chapter 12. Nothing to do with the fact that none of them were men. Um, and none of them were women. They were all men.
So I had a lot of thoughts, and I'm glad you're explaining. But before we go into that, I have to go back to the 40 because I didn't know when I made that comment earlier about wandering around for 40 years.
Yes.
But it also comes to mind that maybe turning 40 wasn't so bad,
Yeah.
right?
It is a spiritually significant number.
I like that. Okay.
Now, though they name themselves the Women of the Wilderness, again, no women, the locals called them the Hermits of the Wissahickon.
Which sounds a little bit more accurate.
Yeah, so accurate. And despite later legends calling them a cult, the reality is they were far more complicated. They were educated men, they were refined, they were intelligent, they served as teachers, healers, lawyers, philosophers, and scientists to nearby settlers. So they taught the neighborhood children, they held worship services, they shared their knowledge of herbal medicine to heal the community. Um, and by most accounts, even Calpius introduced maybe the first pipe organ ever to be brought to the colonies.
Wow. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, yeah. So beneath the surface that was, peaceful and serene, there still remained this unsettling obsession with the prophecy. Night after night, the Hermits studied the stars, and they built the first religious observatory.
What are you observing in a religious observatory?
So they were watching the skies and searching for celestial signs, waiting for revelation for the end of days. Because remember, everything was based on celestial, as their founder was an astronomer. So they were looking at celestial things as well as the calculations from the Bible to tell them when the end was coming.
Okay, so they're looking for religious symbols that are going to, show
Yes,
that Revelations is
in the
coming.
sky.
Okay, I
Yes.
gotcha. All right.
And
I thought
Kelpius
they were like
disappeared.
watching church groups or something,
No,
prayers.
no, no. So they were looking at the celestial sky
Okay.
to give them a sign. So I was like, yeah, I was like, the archer is not going to magically tell you that the end is coming, but whatever. So
Only if his
Kelpius,
arrow was pointing at the right
I'm,
star at the right
I mean,
time at 4:40
yeah.
a.m.
Now
Sorry.
Kelpius disappeared alone into the woods quite often, and near a hillside spring stood a small stone structure known as Kelpius Cave. Now historians debate whether it's truly his cave or was just a root cellar or old spring house, but folklore has transformed it into something darker. Locals claim that Kelpius meditated there for hours in complete darkness. Others believed he practiced alchemy. And what kind of alchemy, you say? They believed that it was involving the philosopher's stone.
Oh, all right. All
So,
right.
the philosopher's stone is one of the greatest obsessions of alchemy. So, it is supposed to be a mystical substance believed to have healing capabilities. It grants immortality and can transfer ordinary metals into gold. That is what the philosopher's stone is supposed to be. Um, According to accounts recorded decades after Kelpius's death, he may have possessed the Philosopher's Stone. So the story claims that near the end of his life, Kelpius feared the artifact would fall into the wrong hands. He ordered a mysterious sealed box to be thrown into the waters in the Wissahickon Creek where the Schuylkill River meets. And according to legend, when the box struck the water, there was a violent explosion. There were flashes of thunder and lightning across the riverbanks. Um, and of course, this is extremely exaggerated, but this is the tale that the Philosopher's Stone is in Wissahickon Creek somehow.
I want to believe that.
You do. You
I
really
do.
do.
I do want to believe that.
Well, and of course, this is very elaborate, but, as Kelpius, he is a doomsday cultist at this point in time. So he, in the early 1700s, remember, everything was supposed to end around the 1700s. Well, he ended up actually passing away in 1708. So,
Oh,
one, the
okay.
doomsday did not happen, and he ended up passing away. And some believe it was because of his fasting and isolation. It weakened him, like his immune system, and he ended up getting pneumonia or a lung disease and ended up passing away.
Yeah, so he was pretty young at this point, right? So if they came
He was
over in
extremely young. So they came over in
1692
1694, 94.
and he was 20-ish at the
He was 20-ish
time.
and he passed away in 1708.
So he was in his 40s maybe.
Yeah, he was not
Hmm.
old at all.
Okay.
Now, afterwards, the community slowly dissolved. The members kind of melted into the nearby settlements. A lot of them married. Other ones of them disappeared into other religious movements across Pennsylvania. You have to imagine there's a lot of different religions that are popping up in Pennsylvania at the time. But Kelpius never was forgotten. He actually, to this day, has personal journals and letters, and it's a short and easy, comprehensive method on how to pray, which did not exist previously. So you can even find this on Amazon today. He is a published author, and it blends Christianity, meditation, mysticism, and contemplative spirituality, which a lot of his practices now became mainstream in America.
Yeah, I'm gonna be buying this too. Although, do you really need to be told how to pray? I mean,
Apparently,
it's kind
well,
of like
back
popping a
then,
Pop-Tart. There's only so many steps you need to do. Like what?
so back in the day, you have to think about it. The church said you went to the priest prayed for you.
I
Like
know.
you would
It's still
not get there was that separation and not that connection or spirituality to
yeah.
God. So so he kind of put a book around it on how to be able to be short, easy, and comprehensive prayer methods. So,
I'm gonna
and
read this book.
oddly, like even more fascinating, Kelpius became the subject of one of the earliest oil portraits painted in the American colonies.
Oh,
And I did include it, and it is a haunting image by fellow mystic Christopher Witt.
why does that name sound familiar to me? I know Christopher Witt. Where did I come across him before? I'm looking at the pictures, so if anybody's looking at that,
Yeah,
I'll put them up on the screen too.
yeah. So,
Huh. Why
yeah,
does Christopher Witt sound so familiar? That's gonna bug
I
me.
believe he actually was one of the occultists, or whatever you want to call him, monks, whatever, that
Mm,
ended up joining, like ended up marrying and settling into the surrounding communities.
okay. Okay.
So,
That's
which I
awesome.
found very interesting. Now, as I said, today Kelpius Cave does exist. It is in Philadelphia's Wissahickon Valley Park. It's covered in moss, half hidden by trees, and it does have a marker, and I do have a picture of it. But over the centuries, of course, as anything happens, this cave has brought on its whole entire paranormal folklore to go along with it, as always. So they hear strange noises. Some people say that they can hear meditation or prayer coming out of the cave. It has unusual cold spots and like it's a cave. And also, they say that you can see movement within the ruins if you're standing outside of the cave. So there's a lot of different ghost stories that go around this cave. Obviously, there is a lot of different tales. Obviously, the Philosopher's Stone. So there's a lot of urban legends that also go along with this, with Kelpius Cave as well. So I know Americans' earliest apocalyptic movement, its first mystical doomsday society, it was not in Salem, oddly enough, for New England. It was in Philadelphia.
Well,
So
Philly is the first for very, very many things, and I don't doubt it.
so at
It's
the end of
first.
the day, people were watching the skies, predicting the ends, retreating into the wilderness. That doesn't sound far off with what people are kind of doing now. They're not doomsdayers, but they're just kind of over society. And a lot of people are going off grid.
Doomsdayers. Or
A lot of people are
doomsdayers in
going
their
off
own
grid.
way.
Yeah.
Hence the what was it, Doomsday Preppers shows and everything that we had going
Yes.
on.
So I just feel like this is just another chapter in our history where we're like, I'm over how things are going. I'm just going to kind of go off grid and
I'm gonna
just do it
outride it
my
and
own
start
way.
fresh after.
Start
Yeah.
fresh. Yeah.
Sounds like what we've been doing since the beginning.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So, so that is the tale of Johannes Kelpis and his 40 followers and Kelpis Cave in Wissahickon Creek, the first doomsday cult in the Americas.
It's really interesting stuff. I did not know any of this, so I'm gonna be like digging in because I know the name Christopher Witt. I that how you describe pietism makes me want to look into that. And I'm sure Kelpis has done some more stuff. And this
Oh,
woman in the wilderness, I mean,
yes.
I don't remember ever hearing about that in all of my church goings that I've done in Revelation. So
Yeah.
I am gonna have to
Revelations
look at that.
chapter 12. And then, of course, Kelpius, the fact that he is an author that you can get his book on Amazon today just
Yeah.
cracks me up. I think it's amazing that this man's legacy has continued on.
I
Like,
just
he just was following his leader and all of a sudden was like, hey, you're the leader. And he was like, okay. So
Let me see what I can do. I'm
let
gonna
me
go
see what I
find
can
me a
do.
cave.
Yeah.
Gonna write me a book and publish it on Amazon, who hasn't been, invented for hundreds of years yet.
Yeah.
Who's making the money off Amazon book? That's what I want to know.
I have no idea.
I'm gonna have to look that up too. I
I
gotta find
mean,
out who
because
the owner is.
apparently, so this kind of dissolved, but I don't know if the circle of what was it, the chapter of perfection in Transylvania, I don't know if that ever dissolved or not.
Mm.
So if that didn't dissolve and there were still followers over in Transylvania or Romania, however you want to say it now, like I don't know if they're getting residuals because he never had any children that I'm aware of that I
It's
could find.
Dracula's grandchildren. I'm telling
I
you, he's
mean,
a relative of Dracula. I'm sure. I'm sure that's what's happening.
all roads lead to Dracula.
All roads lead to Dracula. It's like 6 degrees of impalement. I don't
Yes. I just felt it was so interesting that of all places that our first
I
doomsday
know.
cult leader
Oh
is
my
from
God.
Transylvania.
We're all vampires. That's why we can't go out in the sun, Jen. We're
I mean, there's,
vampires.
yes, I agree with that one.
For anybody that can't tell, we're both very pale people that burn,
Excessively,
which
yes. I mean, it's kind of sad.
it is kind of
I
sad.
think every single time we used to go to the beach, like I used to like burn like a match and I would get like sun poisoning. And I mean, I would put on SPF 100 like 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
And I
Mhm.
can't be out in the sun. It's kind of tragic, which
Well,
because my husband and my child do not have that affliction in any way, shape, or form.
I always used to sit there and tell people I equated it to when I was royalty in a past life. I wasn't supposed to go out in the sun. I was supposed to be waited upon and, with the grapes and the palm fronds and stuff. But now I'm
Mhm.
going to change that to I'm a vampire. So
I think that'll work. I would totally go with that. I would totally go with that. I feel like, I mean, you know what? Maybe Kelpius, the reason it became popular is he was a vampire.
I think he was, and I think I'm going to name this episode when I post it in there. How vampires started America, or like something along those lines. Let's see if
The
we get some
beginnings of the
people.
first Doomsday cult and the first American vampire.
Why America's vampires? Why Americans
I
are
mean, who is
vampires?
getting what?
I'm going to do that
How did his book become popular again? And how is it on Amazon right now?
because he's immortal. If he found the Philosopher's Stone, which is supposed to
Yes.
grant immortality,
I mean,
he's a vampire, right?
he's a
Come on.
vampire.
Here you go. That's why. He's
It did not get thrown in the Wissahickon sash
mm-mm.
schuylkill.
Nope.
If it goes in the schuylkill, you're never finding that bad boy again.
It's been buried under years and years and years of sludge. But
I don't even want to think about it.
yeah, I don't either. It's worse than the scene.
Mm.
But you know what? I'm just gonna pretend that Mr. Kelpius is
A vampire, and he's living in New Orleans.
He's a vampire in New Orleans, and he's got his philosopher's stone in like a little, display case over in there. I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know. Makes me happy to think about. But it really makes me happy to think about vampires starting in America. But this guy is really super, super cool. I'm gonna have to read into it because I don't know. I don't know a lot of this stuff. So,
Yeah, I thought it was extremely interesting. So I just got like one of our favorite Atlas Obscura like sent something to
hmm
me and was like, "Have you been to Kelpius Cave?" And I was like, and it said first Doomsday cult, and I was like, "Sold."
I was
Like,
gonna
what have
ask
I
you, how
got?
did you get this story? Like, look into it. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, "Oh, I need to look into this," because I was looking for places to go. You know me, I love to find like
Yeah,
weird places, and I was like close by. So I was like, "Oh, this isn't far." And then I looked at it and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." I was like, "This is amazing."
that is awesome. So did you go? Did you go to the game?
I have not made it there. My goal is to make it there within the first like couple in the next couple weeks maybe.
Yeah,
So I like to hike. I like to go through the woods and everything else, but I'm not very familiar with Wissahickon Creek.
yeah, me
So
neither.
and
How
Fairmont Park
far?
and everything else.
How far is
It's
it?
only an hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and 15 minutes?
Well, that's with traffic. I mean, it could probably take me a half hour to get there, but you know how Philly traffic is.
Okay. Well, I will be in that area over the summer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Might be fun to go find.
Yeah. Traipse along and find interestingness. And apparently, it's just from what I have seen, it's just a dark cave that things drip on you, and there's nothing in there except it looks like somebody like tried to set something on fire. So,
I'm sure it's been home to some bears or something over
or
time.
people, like you never know.
Yeah, that's true. Still.
Yeah.
All right. I like adding personal pictures to my
Yeah.
lexicon of places that I've seen. So,
Yes.
well, thank you for bringing this to the attention of everybody. I think that's
And
wonderful.
thank you everybody out there, all of you truth seekers for staying with us tonight. Please like, reply, subscribe. Um, please drop us a comment. We would love to hear from you guys on if you find this interesting, if you've ever been to Kelpius Cave, and if you heard anything, or if you agree with us and think he's just a vampire that found the Philosopher's Stone.
Or if you yourself are a vampire or a pietist,
A pietist, yes.
that would be
If do they
great.
still if they still exist, that would be great to know.
It would be. Or if you've bought the book and would you recommend it and what chapters would you highlight?
I think I'm going to have to download, like,
I think
see,
I'm going to buy it,
I'm gonna,
honestly.
I think I'm gonna have to buy it.
I think I'm going to have to.
Like, what kernels of truth do the 1600s provide to us?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look at it. I'm gonna have to support the people that created the life that I live right now. So yeah.
yeah.
I-
Okay, we'll go with that.
All right. All right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you,
Well,
everybody. Until next week.
until next week.
Talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye.